Alright guys, so today we're going to be checking out the Let's Shure S15 planar IEMs. Now if you're not familiar with Let's Shure, they are a Chi-Fi company that the S12 to this point I would say is probably their most popular pair. It's another planar IEM, and I would consider the S15 to be their flagship model. It comes in at $330, so I know a lot of just regular consumers right off the bat are gonna just think, holy shit, that's just way too much money. But if you're an audiophile, or if you're somebody that invests a good amount of money into your audio products, you'll realize $330 isn't that bad for a pair of planar IEMs. Now to start with, let's just go ahead and talk about some of the specs on these. It is a high-res certified pair of IEMs. It's using a 3rd gen 14.8mm planar driver with a 6mm passive filter module. Now this is going to play a lot in the structure of the sound, which we'll talk about a little bit later. The body of the S15 is made from a 3D printed plastic. It does have a metal plate on the outside, and it does use a 2-pin connection. Now it also has a short nozzle. It's not one that's made to stick too far out of your ears. It doesn't go too deep into your ear canal, and I found these to be pretty comfortable overall. I think that plastic feel on the inside, it's very smooth. It doesn't irritate anything, and again, I just found that I could wear them for a pretty long time without getting any kind of discomfort. Now the color scheme of these, I think, obviously is going to be a hit or miss for people. I actually really like the silver and the blue. Obviously I'm a fan of blue, and that's kind of the color scheme of the channel, but I think mixing it with the silver just looks really good. It does come with a 216 strand silver plated monocrystal copper cable, and this is actually a really nice cable, and they're actually using basically a modular design. You don't have to be stuck with just a normal 3.5mm plug-in. Inside the box you're getting 3 different options. You get a 2.5mm, you get a 3.5mm, which is your more common one, and then you're also getting a 4.4mm. Now all of these are L-shaped, which I am also a huge fan of, and they also include 6 different ear tips. Now it's 2 different styles, so it's 3 sets in both styles. One is made to focus a little bit more on a balanced sound, where the other one is geared a little bit more towards vocals. So it really does matter which ear tips you're choosing to use, and all of this is housed in a really nice hard case. I do like the hard case. You do have to tighten the lid on the top. It's not one of those you just pop open. It keeps things pretty secure. You don't have to worry about the lid opening up, and it just looks good overall, and it kind of ties into the theme of these IEMs. Now, as far as, again, some of the other specs on these, it does have a sensitivity level of 106 decibels with an impedance level of 30 ohms, which, to sum that up, it's very easy to drive these. It's not one of those that you necessarily need an amp to get a decent amount of volume out of these, but I'm always going to say this, and it definitely goes with this pair. I highly recommend using an amp so that you're getting the most out of them. If you really want to take advantage of the low end and the mids and the highs and everything that these are capable of, an amp just kind of helps bring that out. Now, you don't need an overly powerful amp. I do recommend just some of those portable DACs, even like the Moondrop Moonriver 2 Ti that I've checked out. That's more than enough for a pair like this. But do keep in mind, if you plug it straight into a device, you're not going to have any issue with volume, but you're still not going to get the most out of the overall sound just by plugging straight into, the Steam Deck or the Switch or your laptop or anything like that. So to describe the sound of these, it's a planar sound. It is not, like I said earlier, like just a regular dynamic driver or a dynamic driver mixed with balanced armature drivers. Planar drivers just have a different sound signature altogether, and the sound signature on these I feel like are fairly warm. It is not an overly bright pair. It doesn't do what some other IEMs do to try to get a lot of sparkle or shine out of the treble. The treble kind of has a warm presence to it. The mids definitely stand out in this pair. I think whether it's male or female vocalists, I do feel like it tends to lean itself a little bit more towards female vocalists. And what I mean by that, it does such a great job of pulling out a lot of the characteristics of female vocalists. I mean, it does great with male or female, but this is some of the best that I've heard with female vocalists because there's so much detail. You can hear a lot of the switch and a lot of the change in vocals. You can hear a lot of the raspiness. I just really enjoyed listening to vocalists with this pair. Now, when it comes to the bass they don't try to hold anything back here. The bass is definitely aggressive. It is punchy. They do keep it tight though. They don't allow it to get sloppy. They do focus quite a bit on the mid bass, and it's not so much sub bass. So I think if you're a bass head, I think you will be overall very, very pleased with these, but just don't expect that loose subwoofer type bass like you would get like in a car system. It's not meant to be like that because that is sloppy. It is going to just roll over the mids and the highs, and that's not what the bass does here. I think the bass kind of lends itself to that warm or neutral sound that these have. You know, mixing that with the soundstage and the sound imaging, which I also felt they did a very good job with. It definitely made me feel like I was in a live environment, and the ability to be able to tell where different instruments are coming from or vocalists, I was just extremely pleased with how these sound. So really, I think the only people I would not recommend these for is people that's looking for flat or reference style, or people that just love a bright treble or that sibilance type sound in treble, that nice sparkle that treble has. They pulled that back here, or maybe it's just the bass kind of leveling it out some. And I think it just lends itself to be able to listen to longer periods of time. The ear fatigue is definitely not here with this pair. You can wear them for a long period of time. It's not overly done on the low end. It's not overly done or aggressive on the treble. So it's not one of those where you need to take breaks because it's just too much. I was very happy with these. I love the way that they're tuned. And I think it's one of those you just have to try out. And I recommend using an amp so that you're getting the most that you can out of these. Obviously, the market with IEMs or earbuds or anything I say is completely flooded. So there are a lot of planar options out there. In fact, Critical even has a pair that I really recommend. I'll put links to this pair and Critical's in the description. I think they're like 99 bucks right now. It's an excellent pair of IEMs. It's an excellent planar set. But it just really depends on how much money you're looking to spend when you're getting into this hobby. It really is a hobby that can definitely become an addiction. I've kind of reached that level. You get one thing and then you realize, you know, maybe I can get a little bit more if I spend this, or maybe if I mix it with this amp, or, you know, this headphone. It's easy to get lost in this hobby, and I think that's what makes it fun. As long as you realize that's what you got into it for, don't become one of those people that become so picky about their stuff that you forget that you use this to listen to music, and it's just not fun anymore, and it becomes too technical. I don't ever want to get to that point, and I hope you guys don't either. I know that's kind of like a little side rant, but the Les Shure S15s I was so pleased with, and I have really enjoyed my time with them, and I do see it as a pair I'm going to reach for, especially when I'm wanting just a laid back sound, but something that's focusing on vocalists, and I'm a bass head, and I was very happy with the bass that these produce. But guys, that's my video on the Les Shure S15s. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.